People
Preston. I know we're live.
People believe that the paranormal and science are separate. But what they don't know, that they are both joined together as one. Join Ben and Louisa on their quest as they bring together science, occult, and the paranormal, only on Occult History and Science with Ben and Lou.
Sorry, guys.
Hi.
How are we all doing?
There we go.
Sorry, we're completely and utterly. I'm just been kicked out of mainstream Lewis now. We're officially in.
I was just sitting closer to you.
So right then.
No, clearly.
So, how are we all doing, guys? Hope you're all having a brilliant evening. I have one thing to admit. One thing to admit from last week, Friday's show. Turned out I was wrong. The fertilization ritual in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, I was still under the impression that this was an actual thing, and it turned out, after doing some digging, that there was a study done about 10 years, oh, no, not even 10 years ago, about 5 years ago, where they actually looked at all. And it turns out it's not actually a ritual.
It's just a
Ironically,
load of men having a good time.
yeah, ironically, though, it was taught as an actual ritual for a very long time until someone actually went, you know what, we'll properly look this up. And it turns out it's not, which is a bit of a shame because I think it would be quite a funny little like add-on for Egyptian history, but it's a shame. And like I say, when I'm wrong, I'll put my hand up and admit it. But yeah,
Okay.
look it up on that one.
Yeah.
But yes. So how are we all doing? Let's do this. So there, asked you to join us. Natasha, very nice. Auntie Sarah, hello. Jeanette and Natasha, how are we all doing? Jeanette, I hope Kev's back's getting slowly less painful. Bless him. But yeah, so tonight, Louis carrying on with the book.
Yeah. We need to get back into a bit of a regularity thing, don't we, after the summer? So we're getting there. We're remembering what we're doing. So yeah, we're going to go back to every 2 weeks, going to be looking at this book, working our way through the Occult Sciences. I'll read from this, the handbook, which it's described as. Yeah, and then Ben's going to be translating from ye olde text.
Sorry,
to
that's a bad joke. You could say he was in denial. Oh, it's just,
dad jokes.
that was just terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, so yeah, as I was saying, working through this every 2 weeks, and Ben's going to be giving the translation from ye olde.
Very much. Hello, Annette. So, for those of you joining us that haven't seen this before, if you go back, you can find the episodes on this. This is the book on occult science. This is basically one of the main handbooks that you get to read through first on occultology, and it is a bloody nightmare to read. The reason Lou's reading it is because she can read better than me when it comes to English, because my English is crap.
Don't put yourself down.
I'm not. I'm just.
Reading out now.
I'm literally saying my English is crap, which you think my main language being English would, but yeah.
Well, your main language is something else.
Yeah, my main language is Gaelic.
Yes.
Yeah. It's cold, it's shit.
I love you.
Yes.
Husband.
Trying to dig yourself out of a hole now. But yes, we are carrying on. What section are we on now?
We're in black magic.
What was it?
Remember back in them days, they termed white magic and black magic as differences. Like white magic was the angelics that they were communicating with, wanting to talk to, work with, and then you got what they class as black magic as being
Yeah.
the more demonic side of it, not as in the witchcraft, Wiccans terms of black and white magic.
Evening, Irene. I'm not sure what time it is out there for you. Evening, Jacqueline. Guys, tomorrow Jacqueline is doing a show, if I'm not wrong, at 8 o'clock, talking about her weekend over in Scotland with Paranormal and History as well. Very good friends of the show, Paranormal and History are. Just going to tell that. And Jacqueline is as well, very good friends. We're going to get Jacqueline on at some point as well. Which
Have you spoken to her about it?
No,
Or are you just announcing it that she's
No.
coming on the show?
because I've. Sorry, Jacqueline. My brain is running
Coming on the
faster.
show.
My brain's running faster than my mouth.
We were discussing it earlier, who we want to get on the show, basically, who we need to get in contact with, and Jacqueline is one of the people we need to get back on.
Yep.
So Ben's just announcing it now.
Luckily, Jacqueline knows what I'm like, and she'll probably be laughing because she knows my brain works faster than my mouth sometimes. Nice to see you, Phil. Just saying hi before 3 a.m. in Japan.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Bye-bye.
Nice, yeah.
Have a good sleep.
Where can I get a copy of this? You can pick a copy of this up on Amazon, believe it or not. Ironic.
Other book purchasing places are
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, they are other places, but yeah.
Yeah, just type it in Google and see what comes up with the cheapest.
Going to sleep well. Phil, good evening, you lovely pair. Nice to see you. Jacking cheers. I'm trying to get Scott for tomorrow, but he's not sure. Be good to get him on. He's a good lad, Scott is. But yes, I'm going to hand it over to Luna while she reads.
Right then.
It's like story time. Story time.
There we go. Okay, let's get into it. Have a drink first.
How is it doing?
What is the book doing?
This is not your drink.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
You concentrating? Do you need to translate?
No, I'm not concentrating.
Right.
Probably.
Black magic, in its esoteric aspect, is a barbarous perversion of legitimate mystic science. The conditions of success in infernal evocations have been identified by Levi as follows. 1. Invincible obstinacy. See, it takes me a while. It's going to take me a while to get into reading this. 2. A conscience at once hardened by crime and most subject to remorse and terror. 3. Affected or not natural ignorance. 4. Blind faith in everything incredible. 5. A completely false notion of God. Stripped of its grotesque and inhuman ceremonial and considered simply in its intention and result, the diabolizing of the human soul is at once its condition and end. When the frightful transformation is completed, the abandoned operator receives, even by the terms of his science, absolutely no return. Every practical power, as we have before stated, with black magic can at the utmost offer to its initiates is guaranteed with tenfold additional capacity on 10 times stronger authority and in an infinitely simpler way, by the branch which is denominated divine. To be Christian is hard. I was off shot there. Yeah, that was in quotation marks. To be a Christian is hard, said the impressed but facilitating pagan, and the heights of mystical sanctity are also laborious in the ascent, but the apex of adeptship is far more easily attained by the humanity which is called thereto than is the diabolical condition which the black magic that is behind black magic requires of its professors.
So, hi, Jim, as well. Nice to see you. Hi, Wild Bill. So, basically, you have to remember around this time that this was done, which I think was towards the end of the 1800s, correctly? Start of the 1900s. Dark.
1891.
Basically, the dark side of occultology was still considered outlawed and in the UK. Believe it or not, yeah, I technically can still be killed and put to trial and put to death, because no one's ever amended the law, which is ironic and slightly scary. It was only up until the 19 sort of 90s that it was still also classed as illegal to practice black magic anywhere in the UK. So, believe it or not, it's weird. It's them weird laws. Like, I can still be put to death for teaching this, even though I learned this stuff at Cambridge and Oxford and a load of other places still teach it. But you can still be put to death for it. It's ironic.
This is saying on this that yeah, if you're already like a criminal, then you're already turned towards black magic. Well, your body's already more attuned to it, or more likely to.
It was classed as the criminal magic. That's why it still holds that bearing. And I think the problem is a lot of people think black magic is evil just because it's referred to as black magic. It didn't help. They had people like Crowley come along and, well, got a lot of his stuff was considered black magic, even though some of it was actually stolen from like the Golden Dawn and people like that that weren't actually doing black. But a lot of it was tainted. The problem is a lot of black magic people associate with Satanism straight away. And Satanism is its own culture of white and black. And so it gets it's a very shady area, I think I'll use. Oh yeah, Jacqueline went to the house. She has some brilliant pictures up on Paranormal Pass as well, with a load of scaffolding. It's really weird. Hello, Sally.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good. The true nature of the pseudoscience of the grimoires having been thus defined, we may proceed to a brief consideration of their archaic curiosities. Abstinence from every species of impurity must be obtained for the space of an entire quarter of the moon. A pledge must be given to the Grand Adonai, who is the master of all spirits, that the number of daily collections shall not exceed 2, and that they shall be prefaced by prayer during the whole of the term prescribed. The operator, moreover, must disrobe as seldom and sleep as little as possible, but he must meditate continually on his undertaking and centre all his hopes on the infinite goodness of the divine Adonai. The grimoires are so full of deceptions and mystifications that it is frequently difficult to pronounce with any certainty upon their real meaning, but it would appear to be God whom they designate under the name Adonai, and not some master fiend who is invested with the title of deity. The invocation of Lucifer must be distinguished from his worship, which we have not found in the rituals of black magic. According to the Grand Grimoire, the materials required for evocation are a stone made of red enamel and called emetile, which, it is said, can be purchased from a druggist, a virgin kid, which must be crowned with vervain and decapitated on the 3rd day of the moon, and the forked branch of a goat, not child.
I was gonna say, even had me thinking then, it's like, Jesus.
Right, remember guys, back in the oldie days, they wouldn't refer to children as kids. That's a new modern thing. A kid as in a baby goat.
Wow, even I missed that when I was learning first.
Yeah, on the 3rd day of the moon, and the forked branch of a wild hazel, which is never borne fruit, and which must be cut on the day of evocation when the sun is just rising. A piece of wood must be fashioned to the size corresponding with one end of the fork of the genuine rod, and must be taken to a locksmith that he may hoop the 2 little branches with the steel blade with which the victim was slain, taking care that the ends are slightly pointed when they are fitted into the wood. The whole being executed after this manner, the magus may return home and adjust the before-mentioned hoop with his own hands to the genuine rod. Subsequently, he must obtain a piece of lodestone to magnetize the 2 points, at which time he must pronounce the following words. Just, you know, before I go on to the next bit, do you just want to, say anything?
Yeah, so I was just about to answer Jim's question there.
Yeah.
I'll have a look in a sec. I was just about to look for my phone to look up to see what the penalty was, and I'm busy staring at my phone. Give me a couple of minutes. I'll have a look at the actual penalty here still. I know it's death, but I can't remember by what means. So I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay, I'll carry on with this one. So by the grand Adonai, Elohim, Ariel, and Jehovah, I bid thee be united, and I bid thee attract all substances which I acquire through the might of sublime Adonai, Elohim, Ariel, Jehovah. I command thee by the antagonism of fire and water to separate all substances as they were separated on the day of the world's creation. Amen. When these matters have been accomplished, the operator may be convinced that in the blasting rod, which is the name given to the instrument, blasting rod, he is in possession of the most priceless treasure. The place of evocation must be a forlorn and isolated spot, and the time night. Thither he must transport the rod, the skin of the kid, the stone called the emetile, 2 vervain crowns, together with 2 candlesticks and as many candles of virgin wax, made by a virgin girl, and duly blessed. He must take also a new steel and 2 new flints, with sufficient tinder to kindle a fire, likewise the half of a bottle of brandy, some consecrated incense and camphor, and 4 nails from the coffin of a dead child. A great cabalistic circle must be formed with strips of the kid's skin, made fast to the ground by means of the 4 nails. Then, with the stone called emetile, a triangle must be placed within the circle, beginning at the eastern point. In the centre of this figure, the operator must take up his place. He must deposit the 2 candlesticks and the 2 vervain crowns on the right and left of the triangle. The candles should then be lighted, and a brazier, which must be in front of the operator, must be heaped up with charcoal of willow wood and kindled with the help of a small quantity of the brandy and a part of the camphor, the rest being reserved for the periodical renewal of the fire in proportion to the length of the business. Many conjurations are given in the rituals, and these are used in succession until the apparition of the spirit is obtained. The most powerful, as is also apparently the most senseless, may be cited as a specimen of the whole. Exit his laptop now.
Sorry.
Are you looking at how you'd be executed?
Yeah, I was just also looking at fraudulent medium acts as well. Interesting. In 1736, Parliament passed an act repealing the law against witchcraft, or imposed fines or imprisonment on people who claimed to be capable of using black magic, using magical powers. When it was introduced in the Commons, the bill caused much laughter amongst MPs. Its promoter was John Conduit, Conduit, whose wife was the niece of Sir Isaac Newton, a father of modern science, although keenly interested in the occult. The act was repealed in 1951 by the Fraudulent Medium Act, which in turn was repealed in 2008. It's a shame that act's not still in. I think me and Jacqueline spoke about that act before. In 1824, Parliament passed the Vagrancy, sorry, Act under which fortune teller, astrology, and spiritualism became punishable offences. So I might not get put to death.
That's always good, isn't it?
Well, with it still being classified as a Christian country, I would be. It's them weird laws, the ones that still exist but no one really cares about. Like shooting someone shooting a Welshman within inside the walls of York with a crossbow.
Well, no, I think it's you can stand on the walls if he is coming to the walls.
Yeah.
And you believe you are, he is threatening you or the city, then you can shoot him with a bow and arrow. Right, anything on What I've just read?
No. Well,
No.
fun fact, guys, if anyone ever breaks into your house, you're allowed to kill them as long as you are upstairs.
Really?
Yeah, genuinely.
Because there's a lot of things where burglars get attacked and the
Yeah.
burglars end up prosecuting
If
the people who they are burgling.
legally, if you're upstairs in your house and the only way down safely is through the stairs, you are by law covered to act in any possible means of defence, which can result and cover when it comes to anyone being in the way. So if they're at the top of the stairs and you kick them down the stairs, it's fine. Or vice versa, if they're at the bottom of the stairs and you kill them, drag the body upstairs. Which we don't condone on the other dimension.
Moving on. The manifestation of the spirit is guaranteed after a second repetition of these sublime words. When the operator may demand that what he requires and enforce it by the terrors of the blasting rod, which tortures all infernals when it is plunged into the consecrated flame, the demon is generally ordered to discover that the nearest buried treasure, which is done on the condition that the secret is kept inviolate, that the magus is charitable to the poor, and that he receives a gold or silver coin on the first day of every month. If the operator was deterred by the extreme difficulty of complying with the ceremonial requirements of black magic, but not dismayed by the character of its proceedings, his master in infernal knowledge could provide him with a simpler ritual at an increased personal expense. He was free to compound with perdition for the slightly less elaborate performance if he would enter into a compact with the fiend whom he chose to evoke, and dispose of his soul in eternity for certain defined favours, invariably of a paltry character, which hell would guarantee him in time. The particulars of this process were contained in the Sanctum Regnum, or the true method of making pacts with all spirits whatsoever. Of the fiends who are open to this kind of negotiation with humanity, the first is the great Lucifuge Raphael,
Yeah.
Prime Minister Infernal. He has the power with which Lucifer has invested him all over wealth and treasures of the world. The second is the Grand Satanitia, General-in-Chief. He has the power of subjecting all women and girls to his wishes, and to do with them as he wills. Agaliarat, another commander, has the faculty of discovering the most arcane secrets in all the courts and council chambers of the world. He also unveils the most sublime mysteries. He commands the second legion of spirits and has under him Bauer, Dyson, and Bottis and co. Go on.
Shut up, Phil. I'm not too sure on that one. What if they don't come upstairs asking for a friend? Then we would suggest enticing them. I wouldn't suggest enticing them though. I'd suggest ringing the police.
How do you entice people to go upstairs then?
If they're robbing the house, you stand there going, "I've got gold up here. You should come up here." I don't know why. For some bizarre reason, my brain was about to do a leprechaun accent. Then I completely apologise.
Go upstairs for my gold.
Come upstairs and get me a pot of gold. Sorry.
You should have just stopped before doing that.
The other
Why
dimension
are
does
you
not
trying
wish
to
to offend
offend?
anyone that is Irish at this point in time with my very, very bad excuse at an Irish
No,
accent.
you stopped yourself at first. You should have just, kept that gate closed. Sorry.
I'm glad everyone else found it funny because I find that embarrassing. And it's forever on record. If you come down to attack them it's deemed manslaughter depending on what you use. Just yeah. There was an answer to this whole thing, and there was a couple of blokes sat around, and it was tell me how hardcore you are without like saying it. And I would give the answer, but the video got took off Facebook, so I'm not going to repeat it.
His Ben had to go bed meds.
I must have had something.
Oh dear.
Oh,
I'm so
just gonna
sorry.
hang my head in shame.
Right, you can get back with your translation of the book. Yes?
Been told and put in my place.
Right. Polarity. Lieutenant General has the power to perform any labor during the night. Moreover, he can cause hailstones in any required place. He controls a very large army of spirits and has Bathim, Person, and Abigail, etc., as his subordinates.
Notice, sorry guys, just before Luke comes on, notice at no point in this book has it mentioned them being demons. It refers to them all times as being spirits.
Yep.
That's the difference. Cultology has always referred to what we classify, what we all know as being demons. Cultology will always refer to them as being spirits. It may refer to their classifications as being demonic, but it will not refer to them as demons. Demonic is more of a descriptional word of their acts, where the word being demonic was originally German to describe the act of being somewhat nasty, but not overly evil. Only as Christianity and the religion came more into the Dark Ages that demonics were demonized, with them being the way they are instead of them being the original gods like we know they are. Sorry, that was the same answer I literally gave at a lecture.
It's okay.
God, I feel old.
Right. Sargatanet. Brigadier Major has the power to make any person invisible, to transport him to any distant place, to open all locks, to reveal whatsoever is taking place in private houses, and to give instructions to all the rogueries of the shepherds. He commands several brigades of spirits and has Lare, Valfar, and Farai, etc., for his immediate inferiors.
Right, when it comes to, because this word gets used a lot in cultology, being made invisible doesn't physically mean being made to like be see-through. The whole concept when it comes to cultology of invisible rituals is for you to go more unnoticed, so people are unable to look at you or focus on you more. They're drawn away from your look. If anyone on here has ever been on an investigation with me and Lou, what? Yes, I know. You just want to go to bed.
He wants the blanket.
Sorry, guys. Buster's very.
He likes his blanket.
Yeah. You see me do it a lot at night, where I can. You think I'm stood next to you, the next thing I'm on the other side of the room. It's a very unique skill. It can be taught quite easily as well. Buster's just sat there down. Sorry, guys. Was this book originally written in English? Yes, it was. However, it was turn of the century English, so 18th to 19th century turn of English, which was lots of big words,
Lots of big words.
big technical
Wow,
words.
you see
Now,
very intelligent now.
Yeah.
You done, Buster. You're giving up on that. Where are you going, little guy? Oh, you stuff up. Sorry, guys.
sorry, guys.
Got to just move around for the dog because he's small.
Buster's now one, by the way, guys.
Yeah, he had his first birthday. Now there's two.
He's just, he doesn't
know.
to settle down.
Right, I'll carry on. Nibiros, Field Marshal, and Inspector General, has the power to do evil to whomsoever he will. He discovers the hand of glory. He reveals all the.
So,
Really?
you try saying that in a lecture room with about 20 people and then staying quiet.
He reveals all the virtues of metals, minerals, vegetables, and animals, both pure and impure. He also possesses the art of predicting things to come. Being one of the greatest necromancers in all the infernal hierarchies, he goes to and fro everywhere and inspects all the hordes of perdition. His immediate subordinates are Aprinos, Nuberus, and Galasaliabos, and co and co. Yeah?
Sorry, it just gets me every time that word in that book. So stop acting like a 2-year-old child.
Do you want to explain what the Hand of Glory is?
I do, but we'll get banned off Facebook. I can't even begin to start with that one. So, anyone that knows, I can't remember the called. It was a thief's omen. When they used to chop off hand and help. Scratch that. I'll put it up in writing for everyone. It'll be easier than me trying to explain it.
I mean, it basically, like a well-known thief has a hand chopped off, and then the other thieves use
That was it,
the
yeah.
hand as a kind of like a good luck talisman
Yeah.
to continue to steal things.
The Hand of Glory is supposed to be.
So that's fine.
Phil knows what I'm on about because he's laughing. He's joining on the joke. The Hand of Glory is supposed to be a hand that has been, and this is just going to make it even worse. Is said to be so pure because it has touched God and bears all magical energy to the hand, thus the Hand of Glory.
Beautiful.
I really hope everyone else is laughing. It's not just me being a complete fool.
Don't worry.
Uh,
When you have determined to make a pact with one of the governing intelligences, says the Sanctum Regnum, you must begin on the previous evening by cutting with a new and unused knife a rod of wild hazel, which is no born fruit and is rigorously similar to the blasting rod. This must be done precisely at the moment when the sun appears on our horizon. The same being accomplished, arm yourself with a stone called emetile and 2 blessed candles. Then proceed to select for the coming operation a place where you will be wholly undisturbed. You may even make the pact in some isolated room, or in some remains of an old and ruinous castle, for know that the spirit has the power to transport the treasure to any required place. This having been arranged, describe a triangle with a stone of emetile. Set the 2 blessed candles on a parallel position on either side of the triangle of pacts. Inscribe the holy name of Jesus below, so that no spirits can injure you after any manner. You may now take up your position in the middle of the triangle, holding the mysterious rod, together with the grand conjuration of the spirit, the clavicle, the requisition you mean to make, and the discharge of the spirit. When all these conditions have been fulfilled, the magus proceeds to the prayers and adjurations, which are closed with the ensuing.
did you know J doesn't exist in Hebrew?
Yes. You said that before.
So the name of Jesus is actually an I.
Mm.
That's even more funny.
Mm.
Jesus is actually more of a Hindu name.
Mm.
It stands for the man from Nazareth.
Mm. And would he protect you while you're doing this? Because
Well,
that's what you're inscribing his name,
I
so that the
wouldn't
spirits
fully
cannot
because I've
injure
never
you,
performed that ritual.
or just in general.
In general, you'd think so.
Mm.
Strangely enough, guys, I've performed a lot of rituals to see the outcomes, but I never performed that one.
The grand conjuration of spirits.
I've performed that one many a times, called Last Orders. My jokes are getting worse. I'm sorry, guys.
It's just nice that you're awake, Lenny.
I know.
That's all it's saying.
Mm.
Right, as I was saying, the grand conjuration of spirits. Emperor Lucifer, Master of all the revolted spirits, I entreat thee to favour me in the adjuration which I address to thy mighty minister, Lucifuge Rockercale. Being desirous to make a pact with him, I beg thee also, O Prince Beelzebub, to protect me in the undertaking. O Count Astaroth. Breathe. Hello?
Oh, I was just saying what I'm saying. Instead of going to get my glasses like an insane person want to look at comments, I have to lean forward.
Free properties. I can't use it. I don't know what I was trying- Sorry, guys. I'm trying. Sometimes there's just too many letters. Oh, where was I now? Propitious to me, and grant that tonight the great Lucifuge may appear to me under a human form and free from evil smell. Always handy. And that he may accord me, in virtue of the pact into which I propose to enter, all the riches that I need. Oh, grand Lucifuge, I pray thee to quit thy dwelling wheresoever it may be, and come hither to speak with me. Otherwise, I will compel thee by the power of the strong living God, of his beloved Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Obey promptly, or thou shalt be eternally tormented by the power of the potent words in the grand clavicle of Solomon, wherewith he was accustomed to compel the rebellious spirits to accept his compact. Therefore, straightway appear, or I will persistently torture thee by the virtue of these grand words in the clavicle. Then it goes on to other words in a different language that I'm not even going to try and repeat right now. I'm just not going
Oh yeah,
to.
it goes into Latin basically.
Like that of the ordinary evocation, the most general object of a pact with the possession of a buried treasure, or the gratification of some unlawful desire. The condition laid down by the spirit was the possession of the soul and body of the operator at the end of the 20 years. The agreement, which was to be signed with the blood of the operator, would, however, invariably involve some play upon words, which was designed to impose upon the apparition, as, for instance, I promise the grand Lucifuge to recompense him in 20 years for all the treasures with which he may endow me, which seemed generally to satisfy the fiend without imperiling the magician in any irrevocable manner.
So basically, no selling your soul. Instead, that was basically a set agreement that whatever you gain in the next 20 years, you give back equal value. What is known in cultology is equal exchange.
In the Grimorium Verum, the infernal hierarchy is described at greater length than in the Grand Grimoire, and Lucifer, Beelzebub, and Ashtaroth are said to. It's funny because although it's kind of like pronounced the same, it's spelt differently here than it. Because I know they've got like different spellings on the names. It's just weird being so used to seeing it one way to see it then sort of a different way. Said to reign respectively the first over Europe and Asia, the second over Africa, and the third over America, apparently with equal power. Most modern apologists for black magic would be surprised to find what a ridiculous concatenation of errors black magic was reduced to in the Middle Ages, but such an apologist would aver that anciently it was not so, and that black magic in its true acceptation I've lost him now. In its true acceptation, represents the prostitution of the divine magic to produce material and evil results, and that too often the desire of worldly aggrandizement and the gratification of revenge had led aside the medieval student from the higher paths.
By the way, guys, if you do have any questions paranormal-wise as normal, if you want to put them up, you can do it at any point, and we will answer them questions as normal.
Yeah.
And yes, Full Metal Jacket did hit. Full Metal Alchemist did hit it on the nail on the head. Alchemy as well. All things have equal exchange.
The solemn and ceremonial invocation of curses upon another person undoubtedly formed an important part. An important part of ancient Goetic art. An instance in the life of Marcus Crassus by Plutarch may have quoted. It occurred when Crassus was leaving Rome to march against the Parthians, notwithstanding the fact that they were allies of Rome at the time. Attius, one of the tribunes, advanced to meet Crassus, In the first place, by the authority of his office, he commanded him to stop, and protested against his enterprise. Then he ordered one of his officers to seize him, but the other tribunes interposing, the officer let Crassus go. Attius now ran before the gate, and placed there a censer with fire on it. At the approach of Crassus, he sprinkled incense upon it, offered libations, and uttered the most horrid imprecations, invoking at the same time certain dreadful and strange gods. The Romans say these mysterious and ancient imprecations have such power that the subject of them never escapes their effort. Nay, they add that the person who uses them is sure to be unhappy, so that they are seldom used, and never but upon a great occasion. Attius was much blamed for his rash zeal. It was for his country's sake that he was an adversary to Crassus, and yet it was his country that had laid under that dreadful curse. The evil issue of Crassus' expedition is well known. His army was almost completely destroyed, and both himself and his son were slain by the Parthians. The following Goetic invocation of Typhon Seth, the Egyptian evil deity, is taken from the Leiden papyrus. It is Greco-Egyptian and of value not only as representing an antique ceremonial for invoking curse upon a person, but also as showing a great importance attached to the correct knowledge of certain names. This is corroborated again and again in the Egyptian ritual of the dead, and seems to prove that such an idea is no mere medieval superstition. It is furthermore especially to be noted that the magical names are not Egyptian. Some have thought them to have been adapted from Hebrew or Chaldee.
Does that feel good? Phil, question for you both. Have you ever had any bad attachments from any investigations you've been to? If so, what and how did you deal with it? Lou had a very bad attachment from her first one, and she ended up marrying it.
That sounds really bad.
Sorry, I had to get that joke in there. Not really. We've not really had any. Well, I've not. What about you?
You don't know if I've had an attachment or not. Good to know.
No, you might get to quiet.
Oh, we've got the Woodland Sprite, but he's not a bad attachment.
Yeah.
He's just cute.
Oh god. We don't really get attachments, to be honest.
No, so the only thing that's ever like come home with us from that wasn't even like from an actual investigation. That just kind of followed us home from a walk in the
Yeah.
woods. Little Woodland Sprite.
I know, Jacqueline. Terrible joke on it.
I mean, well, not so much bringing that from an investigation, but when I went and picked up a doll that was going for free on Facebook,
Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace, but that wasn't such a bad one. It was just
She refused to.
it just didn't want to come back to our house. But once it was home, it kind of settled.
Not really had any, have we? No. Any sort of bad things I've had back are usually from the ones I work with anyway. No, not really had any.
Yeah.
Interesting question. Huh?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's what. Oh, it's a. It was meant to be all right. Really.
As his boys, yeah, they're usually it's usually not the bad attachment. It's usually their attitude when it comes back. Got some good doorkeepers,
Yeah.
we have some good keepers, yeah. It's usually my boss that keeps them away.
Right. Yeah. This is on to the Goetic invocation of Typhon Seth. Shall I read it? Or shall I?
Skip that one.
Yeah. Anyone who's interested, buy the book.
Yeah, there's certain things we will skip for reasons unknown.
And there is just, oh my gosh,
A
the
lot.
names are just going to just
Yeah.
fail so much because how many letters is in that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. They go up to like 16 letters long in names, and I'm just gonna hence go over that. But yeah,
A lot of it is Latin. A lot of it.
it's Sunday evening now.
Yeah.
I'm not getting heavy onto Latin and long names and so regarding the importance attached to the genuine name of the power invoked, see Porphyry's Epist ad Anebonum, and the answer of I am bleachus to Porphyry. Hebrew names were supposed to have great effect, but it translated into Greek and Latin, they lost their power. We may close these examples with a translation of a very ancient Akkadian hymn to avert the attack of the 7 evil spirits.
Brian Holloway. I know the name, but I can't
He's
pick.
the app developer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, an app developer. He also does a paranormal group.
Yeah. We'll get around to it. Is there any way to check for family curse deal spirit that last generations? There is, yeah. It requires names and stuff. I can talk to you about that on there off live as well. There is ways of doing it. It requires a lot of strange materials. Yeah, a lot of strange metals and stuff. Don't worry, not like uranium. We're not going to build a bomb or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll read this out because this is just, getting him to avert the attack of the 7 evil spirits.
Mhm.
That's not too bad. 7 are they, 7 are they. In the channel of the deep, 7 are they. In the radiance of heaven, 7 are they. In the channel of the deep, in the place grew they up. Female they are not, male they are not. In the midst of the deep are their paths. Wife they have not, son they have not. Order and mercy know they not. Prayer and supplication hear they not. The cavern in the mountain they enter. Into here they are hostile. The throne bearers of gods they are. Disturbing the lily in the torrents are they set. Baleful are they, baleful are they. 7 are they, 7 are they. 7 twice again are they. Spirit of the heaven, remember it. Spirit of the earth, remember it. Although this is hardly an incantation of black magic, we may insert it here as showing the Akkadian ideas of evil forces.
Yeah, stranger is it's a ritual for protection, not invoking dark magic. The thing with dark magic at the time with this book being read, a lot of it was more protection than anything else. And this is where a lot of it goes wrong. A lot of people get necromancing and dark magic mixed together. That's the problem. Necromancing is highly illegal in all religions going and all occult practices. And they, like I say, they often get mistaken as black magic. Black magic is not, however, illegal or anything like that. You won't see any problems or issues with that. It's just necromancy because it's classed as going against the natural order, breaking equal exchange, and everything along them lines. So, I don't know, the book's told us.
What's happening to you?
It's dead, we get rid of it.
Just nothing else.
There we go. No, alchemy. Lou's now going to be crap out of me for losing a page. My mum told me her 7 brothers did something a long time ago. Yeah, 7 brothers, 7 brother curse. I do know that. just curious. But what was the fate?
Click on it.
Sorry, what was the fate of that spirit that you're locking down? Confirm or deny no knowledge on said subject. Sorry. Necromancing is bringing back the dead, right? It is, yes. Necromancing is classified as anything dealing with natural life, the natural order of life. So anything that coincides with basically how your fate is written. So anything that can be seen as going against the three sisters or Father Time or anything that goes against the natural progression of life. Doing so has a very, 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 very heavy price. Very heavy price. Not a lot of people have done it. The ones that have done it have found that everything goes against them massively and they are heavily inflicted with issues. I can name a few in here, but a lot of people would not be happy with me naming them because it's the truth of the matter. These people went and broke certain laws, and that's just how it is. They're out. Basically, look at anyone that was involved in cultology that suddenly was fine and then suddenly hit a very dark period and ended up dying in strange circumstances. You will find that they're the ones that broke the laws and started practicing necromancy. Yeah. About 10 minutes left.
I just noticed it looks like the book kind of lights up. Look at my face. Look dark. Sorry, guys. And it's just like, oh.
Sorry, guys, we are professional. We know that.
But look, it's like my face is being lit up by the book. Sorry. Go, carry on. I know it's a reflecting light behind me, guys. I'm not stupid. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. The mystical doctrine concerning spiritual essences and the practice of ceremonial magic to establish communication with the invisible beings have been adequately considered. We are entitled to proceed to certain general conclusions. The rejection of much of the magical hypothesis of the spirit world is the first course which enlightened reasons seem to require of the modern student. The divine character of the Hebrew alphabet, for instance, will be accepted by few persons at the present day. The supposed correspondence of its ciphers with the divine creative forces which combined for the production of the innumerable hierarchies of an intelligence, as the letters of an alphabet combine for the production of an indefinite, insensible language, is, however, an important article in the creed of the Kabbalists. It is also the anagrammatical extraction of the names and offices of angels from scriptural verses arbitrarily selected. There is little in the mystical doctrine concerning demonology to distinguish it in philosophical importance from the demonology of the Christian Church. The hypothesis of elemental spirits is extremely suggestive and is an interesting contribution to folklore, but its classifications are by no means scientific in character. The eschatological, doctrine derived by magic from the Jewish Kabbalism is undoubtedly of value as a hypothesis, though there is little to confirm it in the discoveries of modern psychology. But when point after point of salient doctrines of magic is eliminated in this manner, the student may responsibly inquire whether the mystical basis and temple have not both melted into air. Criticism which pumps out with a ruthless ingenuity, atom by atom, must inevitably leave us vacuity. It should, however, be remembered that the secret which the mystics possessed was the opening of the inner eye for perception into the world called spiritual. Prophecies will become void, tongues will cease, but love, it is affirmed, will not fail. In like manner, doctrines, once of authority, hypotheses once held adequate, are outgrown in the progress of the mind, in the extension of the intellectual horizon. But the facts which they seem to have been invented to explain cannot be made obsolete by time, and truths which can be verified by experiment are not left behind in evolution. Now, the experiments which were the foundation of magical doctrine and magical hypothesis are leave me alone, I'm getting there, are facts which are not to be evaporated by the severity of critical analysis. They are the synthesis of the experiments of the ages, and they can be verified by those who desire it. The lucidity of the mystics exhibited what there is, naturally, good reason to believe, namely, the existence of innumerable hierarchies of being which, according to the fashion of the time, were duly classified and arranged, and as has already been shown. In actual performance, the magician of the past was in advance of existing psychological experiment, but the new mysticism, while enlarging the circle of experiment and seeking to surpass the Magi in the extent of its practical research, endeavours in addition to make actual in its disciples that ideal life which the Magi conceive. It should also, in its proportion to progress, do its best to establish the foundations of a rational hypothesis of the unseen.
As you notice the word Magi, I'll start to turn there. Magi.
Mm-hmm.
Magi are another order that exists and that are well known within occultology, and they are what's known as the protectors of balance. When they were writing this, the Magi were in London protecting. The Magi have moved, however, and most of them have returned to the Middle East and still practice to this day. There are a subsection of Magi, Magi being the ones that protect the Valley of Kings, Valley of the Queens, used to protect all the pharaohs and stuff like that. They do actually exist. And most people don't think they exist because they're only really mentioned on the film The Mummy, The Mummy Returns, the original mummies. There hasn't been any remakes because they're all. But yeah, in the Middle East, magic is a lot more accepted. When the West, we've kind of lost a lot of our knowledge, lost a lot of accepting stuff as well. Hi, Andy. Oh, I've got to go once again. You guys have been very true. Must love the laughs tonight. Take care. See you later, Phil. Take it easy, man.
Right. I've not got much to go now, and that'll be the end of this chapter.
Yeah.
Let me just.
Yeah, you missed that page.
I'll finish this. And then in 2 weeks' time, we're moving on to a new chapter.
Yeah.
The ceremonial part of magic, with its direfully potent formulae and excess of grotesque ritual observance, was accredited in the past with an absolute value. It will be seen that an inherent virtue was supposed to reside in certain words and acts, a principle which is at the basis of all superstitious observance. Now, the actual and demonstrable value of ceremonial magic is of two kinds. It produced an exaltation in the operator, which developed the latent faculties of his interior being, and the atmospheric conditions required for success in all classes of mystical experiments were produced by its perfumes and incense. As human imagination is ever open to the same classes of impressions, and as modern psychology is equally dependent for success on atmospheric and other conditional, ceremonial magic should be as potent in its effect today as at any period of antiquity. The Hexamarion of Torquemada, the Tableau de l'Inconstance des Démons by Delacre, and Pseudo Monarchia Memoriam. Sorry, the writing's a bit weird. They put a weird font on for these titles. Of Wyrus and the Distinguishes Magi of Deliro are the most orthodox and exhaustive sources of knowledge on demonological doctrines and science. There is a complete cycle of medieval Latin literature devoted to the process for the exorcism of evil spirits. As the intervention of devils has ever been the popular explanation of all extranatural phenomena, so in all languages extranatural literature has been largely demonological in character. In English, there are innumerable books which cover all branches of sorcery and witchcraft. One of the most noticeable is Scott's Discovery of Witchcraft, date 1651, with which, in the opposed interest, may be compared to Glanville's Saducismus Transmusfatus, belonging to the same period, and Cotton Mather's Wonders of the Invisible World. In 1859, a philosophy of witchcraft was attempted by J. Mitchell. The Letters on Demonology, addressed to J. G. Lockhart by the author of Waverley, will not be confused with the Discovery. There is also a history of witchcraft, and many sermons, treatises, and displays of corporeal leads between devils and witches have contributed to the right understanding and illumination of the general subject. Richard Baxter's Certainty of the World of Spirits Fully Evinced, 1691, is a representative work of its kind. For the practical part, or the method of communicating with demons, the Grimoire Verum and the Grand Grimoire are said to be entirely sufficient.
And that's it, guys. What's the next one?
Necromancy.
Next one's necromancy, guys. So I'll actually come on the camera, it might help. So yes, next week we will not be doing a show, because we will be would have been up all night, wouldn't we? I was going to say Bishop, but we are at honestly Bredsall for some bizarre reason.
No, not
I
both.
can't seem to pronounce a word for the where we are next week.
Warmly Cocktail.
Yeah, but what's the city?
Well, it's classed as Bristol.
That's the one.
It's
Sorry,
there
guys.
between Bristol and Bath.
For some reason, my brain wouldn't understand the word Bristol. God knows why. But yeah, we are there with Embrace the Dark, and the host group is Science Beyond the Grave. They do still have tickets. Honestly, come join us if you can. It will be an amazing night. You get to see all of us there. It will be a good laugh, and hopefully after that we'll come back. We'll get more of this going, and we'll sit down. I do have some lessons coming up. Well, I say lessons coming up. I'm going to be talking about quantum mechanics, quantum physics again at some point. So, guys, remember to not tune into them shows because it'll just be me rambling like mad. I am again going to start this week looking at the show that everyone's asked for me to do another one, which is medieval ways of torture and death, or historical ways of torture and death throughout the centuries, because everyone likes a little bit of dark knowledge. That's about it, isn't it? Pretty much. Guys, go check out the merchandise as well, as Luke is showing.
There we go. Oh, where are we?
You can find that on the website, or go to
After their website.
yeah,
PGX Designs.
that's the one. Or find them on Facebook as well at
Photographic.
Graphics. That's the one. Sorry, guys, my brain seems to
You're switching off now,
yeah.
aren't you?
My brain's
Stop.
starting to switch off. Pentagraphics, they've done an amazing job on all of the merch, and it's brilliant. So go check it out. And that's pretty much it from us, isn't it? Lou is currently reading through a book as well that we will be bringing to your attention if you want to share which book you're reading through.
It's top secret, isn't it?
Oh, it's top secret. But Craig.
I've spoken to Craig. Are we allowed to show it?
Yes, we're allowed to show it. I'll show it now. I had to get clearance.
I was just going to keep it top secret and just like. But Craig says that we're allowed to show
allowed to
it.
show it. So this is a book that was given to us by the Haunted Museum.
Lent to us.
Yeah.
While I read through it, my bedtime reading.
Can't really see the word because it's more in red.
Yeah. The Church and the Witchcraft Series, Volume 4, Demonology, 1595, by Nicholas Remy, Privy Councillor to the Most Serene Duke of Lorraine and public advocate to his duchy. Drawn from the capital trials of 900 persons, more or less, who within the last 15 years in Lorraine have paid the penalty of death for the crime of witchcraft. Translated by A.E. Ashwin and edited with introduction and notes by the Reverend Montague Summers. Edition limited to 1,275 copies only. First English translation.
Yep. So we're currently reading through that. That book will be housed at the Haunted Museum, Stoke-on-Trent. Brilliant place to go. Honestly, check them out. Tickets and that lot. Brilliant place. Honestly, it's worth time going there. Thank you both. Can we catch up soon? Sarah, yeah, I'll come round and we will sort out and get it all sorted. Chats. Hugh, nice to see you, mate.
Let me press it. Oh, there we go.
Always nice to see you, buddy. Sorry, it's towards the end of the show. But yeah, that's it, guys. So from us, it is good night.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's it. So just remember, guys,